Good morning. We're here with Ollie from Visor. How you doing, Ollie?
Good morning. Yeah, great. Thank you, Mike.
Good stuff. Great to have you with us. So if you would like to, introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, how long you've been doing it for, please.
Yeah, I'm Oliver Nicoll from Visor Dynamics. We're a mixed reality business. We make mixed reality. We have a platform and a toolkit that is for developers. We've been doing it for 7 years now, and we came out of games development. I'm a computer scientist originally, and the rest of the team of about 30 now all come from a similar background. And we've been preparing for what sort of happened over the last 12 months in terms of this emergence of digital and physical kind of being blended together. So yeah, it was both fortuitous and well planned.
Yeah.
And I'm glad to be talking with you about that today.
Excellent. Yeah, there's a lot of future sort of happening now, so to speak. But if we look back over the last 2 or 3 years, you've been going 7 years, and the pandemic. What was the biggest impact of that for you guys? How did it affect you?
Well, there was 2 significant things that it impacted. The first thing was that we'd been building software and technology for 4 or 5 years, and had just as the pandemic hit, had started a field project that required us to be attending an energy facility. And with the restrictions, there was far less access to the facility to do what was effectively 12 to 18 months of proofing what we'd built. So we had to kind of re-strategize what we were doing. We had to do it with a far more compounded view of what we did, far more focused, but more deliberate, and the research itself had to be kind of done in more of a phased approach. That was one thing that took out a lot more planning and gave us less access, which had a big impact on what we were doing. The second was I mentioned that we work within the metaverse, which is a blend of physical and digital. That's something that can't be worked on remotely or in split teams. It's something where you need physical things around you and you need a group of people. So the first phase of lockdown was particularly tricky to deal with because we needed people together, and with all the forms of remote working and all the different applications that you can use, it caused us real problems. So we had to again change the way that we worked, and by the second lockdown, we reformed the way that our office space was split, and we use a cabal system and that sort of thing. But it meant that we had to be really agile, and we were forced into doing a lot of things that ultimately have led to better and improved business now. So
good stuff. Well, that's good. It will lead on to the next question about any actions that you were forced to take and that have perhaps stuck with the business, and actually you've seen benefit in.
Yeah, so it highlighted for us the need for team and the team to have a more of a literal approach to the way that we build software. So it forced even more agility on a very agile team. So now we used to do scrum meetings and have quite a rigid project management structure. Now we've become far more agile. The teams have far more involvement with stakeholders. They work more closely together. The teams are physically located together more often, and access to technology, it becomes more of a liberal thing within our organisation. It's far more fluid within the teams. So we've made sure that we've retained that, because we think we build better software when that input is spread, and it's certainly changed the management style of some of my senior managers. So there's some really nice benefits that have come off the back of kind of being forced to work, listening to each other far more, and teams being less kind of guided by one and now surviving together. So it's nice. It's really good what's actually come of it in that regard.
Good stuff. Sounds like a bit of sort of ownership going on in terms of a team ethic and teamwork. It's been a benefit there. It's a good share. Thank you. So what does the future look like from where we are now, and what do you see as the main challenges are going ahead?
Well, I suppose starting with the challenges, more pandemic activity causes disruption. I think we've done as much as we can to mitigate it, but you know that same old saying of you don't know what you don't know. So we think we're probably better prepared for if something new happens now, and certainly in terms of the future, there's been kind of 3 years of people rapidly going through the idea of digital and how we better use it within organizations. So we think the future looks really bright for us because that's what we was always geared up for. If this had happened 3 years later, we'd have been able to kind of do far more. But actually, now we're at a point where the world is far more educated around what good digital can do for the working environment and for people's mental health, and how we can bring people together when they're not physically together, and that encapsulates what the metaverse is from our perspective. So we will spend the next few years going down that road, and hopefully bringing it to kind of more enterprises that want to kind of blend physical and digital and make sure that they give people that work-life balance.
Great stuff, thank you. Do you see any sort of further challenges in trying to deliver that, in terms of what you can forecast now and how things are looking, maybe economy wise or worldwide, in terms of what's going on and all the activity that's taking place that's affecting many businesses?
Yeah, I mean, I think that when you look at kind of a strategy like ours, we're very much focused on kind of market and what people will do fundamentally with the technology, rather than kind of direct sales. We're partner driven, so our partners and their market adoption is our success metric. So we look at what our partners are doing in terms of directly, and there's kind of this much spectrum. We have everything from kind of people that work within fashion and retail, where the world went like that because you couldn't get in stores, but high-end fashion sort of went like this because they became quite emotive with their approach to, oh, let's visualize this now, let's make this a thing where we can use digital and we have the brand recognition and the rest of it with it. But then we also work with companies that do, for instance, things like surgical VR, and they're connecting surgeons all over the world into a space where, and that the two are really, really great examples of the use of technology, again, blending physical and digital. They're not that easy to deliver if you still can't bring those people together or educate them in the first place. So it's really is kind of one of those things where we'll let the market guide us, but we think that the market is getting bigger, and it will slow things down if pandemics and things hit, rather than preventing them happening entirely.
Sure, good stuff. Interesting learning there. There's in my mind, a bit of an irony about obviously creating virtual reality and that digital technology, but then having to have people in a room in order to deliver the service. So yeah, prestige share again. I like that. So just moving on to yourself as a business owner, then, what would you say, if there's one, I suppose, highlighted learning that you can pick out from the many that I'm sure you've had in the 7 years you've been going, what would it be?
I think from my perspective, I mean, I'm 38 now, and the only thing I would say to my certainly younger self would be to do it earlier. Don't be worried about failure. I read something the other day that said you should only worry about regret and not failure. And actually, when the younger me, when worried about sort of failing at things, never really worried about the consequence of them. It was just the feeling of failure. And actually, the older I've got, you often kind of think, right, well, this is how I will do it better. And I look at the kind of the team and the business we have now, and I wouldn't change that. I wouldn't change that feeling that I'm going to fail at something again tomorrow. But you have a team of people around you who support you through it, and you try to avoid doing it the next time. Yeah. And that feeling and that worry is something that I would tell my younger self: don't worry about it. It'll happen, but it's not the end of the world. Don't regret having never done it. So I pinch myself that we've done it now, but I wouldn't be worried if we had to start again tomorrow. And people I know now would make whatever we do a success. So.
Great stuff. Thank you for that. A good share. So what inspires you currently? What it may be like podcasts or anything you read. It could be the team you work with, obviously what you do, friends, family. If there's anything that you would like to share about inspiration that you use for what you do.
Yeah, I mean, I take a lot from the people around me. I mean, we're at I have a very supportive family anyway, and they're quite creative, and anything from my young son telling me about his schooling and how different it is, certainly to what I remember, and how much joy he gets from going to school, which again isn't what I remember. But I think the main one, certainly from an inspirational perspective, is we work with, because we're at the cutting edge of technology, the people that come into the business are often kind of master's students from university or just finished a PhD, and they come in to do a particular thing. And when you start to see their passion for what they've spent 7 years in education learning about specifically, and then bringing it to something that you've been building, you can't help but have a smile on your face. And the way that then can impact one of our partners who are using it to do help with surgery. I mean, I can't go into the specifics of a surgery that we spoke about with one of our partners recently, but the thing that they built had completely removed wet room testing for this piece of surgery, and there was sort of 3 or 4 wet rooms where, I won't go into it in great deal of detail, but a lot of rabbits were being killed. We were like, great, people's lives are being made better and less rabbits are being killed, and that's as a direct result of that chain of events. And you just think that all the people that are involved in that process, from the partner who are incredibly gifted in what they do and what they understand about their marketplace to do with surgery, down to our guys that technically know what they need to be doing to enable that to happen, it's just wonderful. And I think, you don't need any more inspiration than just seeing what the end use of the software you build and the people using it get from it. So.
Fantastic. Great reason to be getting out of bed each morning.
Definitely. Well, my son's the other one as well. That helps me out.
Yeah. Mixed in. How old's your son?
He's 7 next week. So
yeah, lots of questions. Curious kids. I've got a 7-year-old as well. Doesn't stop asking questions, and there's a lot to be learned from kids and their attitude and the way they look at life. And I'm taking a lot of inspiration and a lot from it too.
I do believe that certainly at this age, and I hope it continues, that I learn far more from him than he learns from me.
Yeah, definitely. Good stuff. And then, so lastly, are there any kind of latest news around your business that you'd like to share? Perhaps maybe detailing any projects you got coming up, or latest kind of things worth shouting about. People wanted to get in touch.
We've been going through this scale phase, and I suppose one of the main things is we have this metaverse toolkit which our partners use to build product. We have a product ourselves which is targeted at universities and colleges, and it's a extended reality solution, but it's to help with curriculum delivery. And we're going to be showcasing it at some of the kind of some Humber showcase events over the next sort of 3 months. But we're doing it off the basis of a local college starting to use it, a college called Aston Bryan, and they're having some really good success. And it's great, again, seeing students using technology, but meaningfully getting results, supporting them in terms of improvement in delivery and their retention, and just getting feedback that it's cool and we like learning this way. So I think just the main thing is that we're going to be showcasing that a couple of times over the next few months, and I can provide details after this about it. But anybody just wants to come down and see what we're talking about and see what the bleeding edge looks like when you take a company that formed out of Hull University is, 60, we did this the other day, 67% of our staff now out of the 30 are master students from the University of Hull. We love the town and the area. So if people do want to come see what we built and what's been used in local colleges, then we'd love for that.
Great stuff. Well, it's been really good chatting to you, Ollie. Most appreciated, and I hope it keeps going strength to strength for you.
Thank you, mate. Really appreciate your time.
Well.